Sir, Divik, on you. जो भी आप बात कर
Thank you,
रहे हैं
जी,
Operation Bunyanum Marsoos पे.
Thank you, Ji.
Sir.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity, Ji. It's a real honor and privilege being here today. And I'm kind of nervous in presence of such great personalities sitting on my right and left who spent decades in the field of diplomacy, in the service of this country, in the defense of this country. So Operation Bunyanum Marsoos was a turning point in our history. And we witnessed a nation being reborn. The whole nation became united against a common enemy because we weren't the aggressors. We were attacked without any justifiable cause, in contravention of international conventions and in clear violation of international law. Right after the Pahalgam incident, I believe that it was a diplomatic masterstroke on behalf of the Prime Minister when he was addressing the cadets at Pakistan Military Academy Kakul, when he offered an investigation, a fair, transparent, impartial investigation into the Pahalgam incident. So I think that was the moment where the entire equation changed and the whole world saw that Pakistan has acted very fairly. And we have a maxim in law that whoever comes to law or equity must come with clean hands. So we were in a position where we showed to the world that our hands are clean. Look, this is a situation where a terror incident has happened and Pakistan expressed concern over that incident. Our foreign office was very prompt in saying that, we express our concern and we express condolences and sympathies with the victims. Please quote me one incident of terrorism within Pakistan, in Balochistan or in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or anywhere else in Pakistan, on which the Indian Foreign Office has gone as far as even saying that we express sympathy with the victims, let alone with the government of Pakistan. And that was a point where the world realized that, look, this is a government which has not only offered an investigation just to prove its innocence in the entire matter, but has also gone as far as saying that we express sympathy and condolences with the victims. The world also realized, and one of the major challenges in the narrative war was that we had to establish that we are the frontline state in the war against terrorism, and we have been so for decades now. And when I went on Sky News, Yalda Hakim tried to pull me into a debate on the historical perspective. Now we can have hours of debate about our role against the Soviet invasion in the 80s, and we can write articles and books on it. But that was something which was not relevant or pertinent to the situation at hand. Because post 9/11, the world had actually evolved and changed. And after 9/11, had it not been for Pakistan, terrorists would have been loitering the streets of the Western world and all over the world, the capitals of the world. Because when one Pakistani citizen, one Pakistani soldier, one Pakistani officer lays down his or her life in the defense of the country, it is indeed for the defense of the country, but it is also to make the world a safer place. So when one citizen dies amongst the 90,000 lives that we've laid down, it is to make the world a more safer and secure place. Because I see Pakistan as a political activist, as a student of history, I see Pakistan as a wall between the terrorists and the rest of the world. So every blow that we bear, every strike that we have to endure, it is for the defense of the citizens of the world. So in the narrative domain, because the first war that was unleashed upon us was the narrative war. And somehow we were told that, Indian media has more ingress as far as Western media outlets are concerned. They have more English channels to their credit within India. And they had created a perception where we were led to believe that the Indian media dominates the major capital of the world. Thanks to Almighty Allah, when we set out on this discourse, the major strength that we felt from within was the strength of truth. because we were on the right and we had a very strong case. It was just about advocating that case in the right manner. So I think we had that advantage in the narrative war. And personally speaking, when I took over as Minister for Information, it was very difficult to operate within the given paraphernalia. So I called a meeting of my department and I said, listen, I can't sit in a Sarkari office all day and just sign files all day. So I need a digital setup where I can actually maneuver, where I can actually contribute. So we came up with the concept of the Digital Communication Department, or the DCD. When we set out to establish this department, the first challenge was legal. So we had to amend the rules of business of 1972 and get them approved. So we amended the rules and we made a digital communication department, and I will love to show you that department someday. It's a totally corporate setup. It's like any office of these tech startups. Like you would find a big hall with young people sitting on laptops, making content, video editors, graphic designers, disseminators, social media experts. And then you have a table tennis table in the center. And then you have a gaming room in one of the corners. Then you have a daycare at one side. You have a monitoring system based on AI, which also has STT, speech to text software, where we know what the buzzwords are on media. So had we not made this digital communication department a few months back, it would have been difficult to counter the Indian narrative. So it just took me, once the missiles were fired from India, it just took me the driving time of 15 minutes from my home to the digital department to be fully active in this narrative war. And simultaneously what we were doing was that India had alleged that there were some terrorist outfits or terrorist training camps in certain areas of Pakistan. So I took international media and local media to this suburb of Muzaffarabad known as Bela Noor Shah, which was up north in Muzaffarabad, an isolated town, where we showed them that there were no terrorist outfits or training camps. And we did scores of interviews, and seeing is believing. We flew them on helicopters, thanks to our military. We had full facilitation. We took them to Bela Noor Shah. And the night that India attacked, the next morning at 7 a.m. we were supposed to fly to Lahore and drive to Muridke. And then from there, from Lahore, we were supposed to fly to Bahawalpur. So two of the sites that India attacked, we were scheduled to visit those sites with international media and our local media just to show these people that there are no terrorists on any of these sites. Unfortunately, India resorted to violence, attacked our civilians that night. So I think in the narrative domain, the advantage that we had was, first and foremost, I had preempted these attacks. I came on television a few days before these attacks and told the world that we are anticipating these attacks. We have this apprehension that India will resort to attacking Pakistan. And there was a debate going on after that. And people were questioning whether I should have done it or not. And I also faced a lot of criticism of certain quarters, that why did you create panic at 2 a.m. in the night? And what was the purpose? The purpose was because we had credible intelligence information that their jets had taken off from Ambala and they were headed for the line of control. Fortunately, we had certain capabilities of technology which intercepted their communication systems, brought them down, and they were forced to land at Srinagar. And while they were landing at Srinagar, we switched off the lights just like that. So that was our capability in the digital domain. And this technology that we've developed, it's all indigenous. It's all created at home. And that's the kind of capability our military has, our Air Force has, our Army has. And thankfully, the enemy remembered the lesson of Operation Dwarka. And they knew that with a single blow from our surface-to-surface missiles, which the Navy possesses, their economic hub next to Gujarat in Dwarka will be hit really bad, and their trade worth billions of dollars will be affected. So you see, we had the advantage of being on the right. We had the advantage of offering an investigation. We had the advantage that we were not the aggressors. We had the advantage that we are the frontline state against terrorism. So how can a state which is fighting terrorism day and night be a facilitator to terrorists. That's just not possible. And when I proudly said that, our military is fully capable of dealing with any situation, I also expressed that we have laid down these lives in the war against terrorism, and there was no counter argument to that. Nobody can deny that, because this is one nation whose children have also given sacrifices at every turn of history. If you look at the APS Peshawar incident, and let's move on. The young son of one of the colonels serving on the line of control, Irtaza Abbas, he was martyred. A young innocent child. So when I went on the international media, we had all these advantages of being on the right, of being attacked, of being a frontline state against terrorism. So I think the truth be told, we were at a position of strength. And none of the Indian politicians had the courage to face us on international media. So when I went on CNN and Becky and Anderson was interviewing me, the next day the Indian response was an advisor to the information minister who appeared on her show. Now that's without any legitimacy of the government. When you send one of the officials working in the information department, then you're giving a very, very meek response to a very strong response given by the chief spokesperson of the government. And if I don't mention the support that we received from the Director General of the ISPR, General Ahmed Sharif, and from other officers, some unsung heroes who cannot be named here, but I think our intelligence services, their strategic communication division, the DG ISPR, there was a lot of synergy. So we were complementing each other in all our media appearances and all the narrative that we were creating. And we, at one point in time, we did realize that people were getting impatient. And they were asking why we aren't responding, because we said that when we will respond, the whole world will witness it. And there has to be a very right timing to responding. And the world acknowledged our right, as per the UN Charter, the right to self-defense. So these were the position of strengths that we had. Another thing which was a learning curve for me, we grew up with this sense of patriotism, with a heightened sense of patriotism. And we would decorate our homes on the 14th of August, put up flags, and there was this inherent feeling of compassion regarding the armed forces. And we grew up saluting our heroes. But frankly speaking, I was a little apprehensive on how the Gen Z would react to the situation. It was something new for them. They had never experienced a war in their lifetimes. And this apprehension at the back of my mind was totally addressed when our Gen Z started the meme war, and the Indians were taken aback. Because they were wondering, what is going on? This is a serious business. Hundreds of thousands of people could die, and Pakistanis are actually making fun of us through this meme war. So I think hats off to our Gen Z, who through the responsible use of social media actually fought their own battle in their own way. So I think that must also be acknowledged at every level. And if I don't acknowledge the diplomatic efforts that went on, and the Prime Minister made sure that every day he would call ambassadors of certain friendly countries and brief them on the situation himself. So you had ambassadors coming in, getting a briefing, first-hand information, and that really helped advocate our case. The Deputy Prime Minister is also the Foreign Minister. He was very actively involved. Field Marshal General Sayyid Asim Munir, his leadership, his visionary leadership, and to get everyone together. And there was so much coordination, and we saw a lack of coordination on the Indian side, where you would see the services chiefs coming one by one to meet the defense minister, whereas we had the National Security Committee meeting the first day. So the synergy, the cohesion, the coordination, I think it was just perfect. And our enemy did not perceive that we would respond in this way, and they were taking advantage of the lull period which was in between. And when they tried to attack Noor Khan Air Base and other installations that night. We had just returned from the GHQ. And that morning, we made it clear to the world that we're a brave nation, we're a very resilient people. We don't attack in the dead of the night. We attacked on the break of day, early in the morning after Fajr prayers. And that was a signal and message to the world that we are courageous, we are on the right, and we have the right to self-defense and the right to respond. And as a politician, one of my tasks was to unite the nation, and I went to the floor of the House and I made a very categorical statement that today, I will not say that my leader is good and your leader is bad. We're all Pakistanis today and your leader is as good as mine while addressing the opposition. And I said, we can quarrel amongst ourselves a month down the line, 2 months down the line, but today there's a common enemy and we must combat that common enemy. And I think the world acknowledges that the Pakistani nation has this ability to come together at times of difficulty. Any natural disaster that has happened in the past, you've seen the nation come together like this. Be it floods, be it earthquakes. So a nation which is number one in charity in the world, despite its meager resources, a nation which stands tall together in times of crisis, then how can somebody question their ability, their courage, their resilience when it comes to their own stability and security and the security of their homeland? So I think the Pakistani nation was at its best, be it our diplomats, our foreign diplomats, our military, our former servicemen, our media, our Gen Z, every segment of society came together and we changed the dynamics of the diplomatic war, of the narrative war, and of conventional warfare. And now case studies will be done the world over on how we fought this war on the narrative front, on the diplomatic front, and on the military front. So I think this whole episode, when I say that we've been reborn as a nation, I have strong arguments to substantiate this statement. And Pakistan came into being on the 27th of Ramadan. And Pakistan, inshallah, is here to stay till eternity. And the two-nation theory has never been truer because questions were being raised as per the two-nation theory. But when I look at the persecution of minorities on the eastern side of the border, every violation of human rights that take place against the minorities there is something that proves the two-nation theory as an absolute fact. Having said that, I believe now is the time to gather our strength and work towards economic stability of the country and make this country realize its true potential through economic growth and through unity and hard work. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.